Hello and welcome to the TrainerWise Daily Show. On today's episode, the topic we're discussing is the footwear that's pretty much taken over the training industry, minimalist footwear, specifically Vibrams.
Show me a good time. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Show me a good, show me a good time. Oh yeah.
Hey, this is a call out to all strength coaches and trainers out there. If you would like to share your views on a given topic, just go to trainerwise.com. Fill out the contact form. Tell us the topic that's of interest to you, and we'll get you on as soon as possible. We're filling up shows at the moment, currently taking guest speakers. So please do take the time now to contact us there, and we'll get you on. We have two guests on today from Washington. We have Elizabeth Smith Andrews and Ryan Crandall from New Mexico. Welcome.
Thank you.
How you guys doing?
Awesome.
Thanks for being on. We want to talk about these shoes that are pretty much on every trainer's feet and half of their clients across the nation, and it's kind of been an obsession of mine to learn more about them. And so I just want to go with like your guys' use and your guys' opinions, why you like them. We'll start with you, Elizabeth. Why a big fan of the footwear?
Well, it's interesting because I have been in the fitness industry since '87, did competitive aerobics, have screwed up my feet basically, and had to have major foot surgery almost 5 years ago.
Ouch.
So it was during the rehab, and I've always had to wear orthotics. During the rehab that I was doing barefoot rehab, and then I got into yoga as more balance foot work, that I started noticing my feet were developing strength again because I had developed chronic plantar fasciitis in my other foot. So I wanted to build on that. And so I got my Vibrams, and literally I don't wear my orthotics anymore to work out. I feel like I bought myself another 40 years to abuse my feet. They've really helped strengthen them and made me more aware of my mechanics when I train.
Super cool. Mr. Ryan, you're a big fan as well. Why?
Well, I am and I'm not. I only say this. I don't wear Vibrams because my pinky toe won't fit in the hole. So I actually went through a period. I was like, oh, I want to get the Vibrams, and I bought them, and they just didn't work for me. But it didn't stop me from liking minimalist shoes. I actually went into the Merrells, the Merrell Vibram sole, which has the no drop on the heel, the wide forefoot. It's got no orthotic cushioning. That, and actually I'm more of a barefootist now than anything. I train barefoot. I've ran up to 4 miles on asphalt barefoot. I am a barefoot junkie at the moment.
So let me ask you, being a barefoot junkie, what's the current status of your feet?
Much better than they used to be.
Pain-wise, but I guess what I'm talking about is like the do you have Flintstone feet now, or how do they look?
Yeah, I got to work on that. But I will say this: I've had a lot of injuries, just as Elizabeth has had. I've had 3 ankle fractures. I've had 9 ankle sprains. I don't have any ligaments left in my right foot anymore.
Wow.
I used to chronically have inversion ankle sprains, and I don't have ankle sprains anymore because I don't have that long lever on the heel to counter my foot into inversion anymore. So no more ankle sprains. Ugly feet, no more ankle sprains. No.
Oh, that's pretty cool. So your like tactile sense, your ability to absorb force immediately or correct upon striking the ground is improved, such that you don't you don't turn your ankle as much, or is it more like the joints up the chain of command, like the knee and the back? Have they benefited at all from?
I'd say all the above. I also would say this, Daniel, that most shoes, and here I'll use this fake foot as an example. Most shoes, the way the arch support is, it throws the foot already into a kind of a supination phase. Right. So you're already halfway there to an ankle sprain. All you got to do is twist in that direction and snap, crackle, pop into your morning.
That's true. I'm a big supinator. I know, because my toes are always pushing out the walls of my running shoes right there, and I know I'm kind of a prime candidate for that. But I depend on my cat-like reflexes to adjust on any pine cones I may step on.
That's right.
Parkour roll there, huh?
Yeah. So are you often barefoot, Ryan? You say during your training, your
Always.
daily gig, if you're working with people, do you walk around? How does that work? You don't walk around barefoot in a gym, do you?
Well, since I have actually had the opportunity to take one of the studios on this property. It's a 300 square foot little artist studio, and I converted it into my own gym.
Yeah.
So people come to my place, and it's been 5-10 degrees in the morning here in Albuquerque the last couple weeks, and yeah, I am barefoot when I greet them.
I like that.
Like
That's pretty cool. So Elizabeth, how often do you sport your kicks over there? Do you wear them while you're training people? Do you wear them all around the house, or is it just when working out?
I wear them to train people, or if I'm training myself. I don't run in them because, one, I don't run, and I never wear them unless I have workout clothes on. You will not see me in real clothes and Vibrams. I do not. That's where I draw the line. No. So even if I'm going to run to the mall, I'm going to have my workout stuff on with my Vibrams. So I try to wear them as much as possible, but living here in Seattle too, with the weather and the wetness, I've noticed since our weather has shifted, I haven't worn them as much. I guess I could take them to the gym with me, but I just like to keep them on my feet. I did hike in them this summer on Mount Rainier, which was the first time I'd hiked in them, and it was super cool, and it was very interesting to see. It was about an 8-mile hike. Towards the end of the hike, how lazy we can get when we get fatigued, and your shoes will compensate for some of that. I stubbed my toe, almost broke my pinky toe because I was so fatigued, and I had my Vibrams on, where if I'd had tennis shoes, you would have hit your toe and really not known the difference. It's just so interesting. You start really seeing and experiencing the minutia of how your feet and that platform works.
Gotcha. So I'm very interested in the notion of no shoes there, Ryan. And I want to ask you, what do you think, well, obviously, I know Adidas has theirs out now, and I know Nike's has them as well. There's various companies making them, but what is the argument for having shoes? Not necessarily from the aesthetic end, but as far as ergonomics. Is it in your opinion more detrimental to be wearing regular shoes than to be barefoot, or is there a benefit to regular shoes at all?
I wouldn't say there's any benefit to wearing regular shoes unless you have some crazy foot deformity that precludes you from going barefoot. And that's such a rarity. I would say that most people who think they may have a foot deformity only have weak muscles in their feet, or they may have something that's structurally been changed over time. But just like Elizabeth said, she had her plantar fasciitis has gone away based on pure focus and pure determination and getting those foot sensors to communicate with the brain, which communicates back to the foot to get everything to turn back on again. And it's worked for me as well. I used to have plantar fasciitis as well. And, I have it on occasion, but for the most part, it's gone. I don't sprain my ankle anymore. So wearing regular shoes, I don't see what the point is except for fashion. I also think that a lot of the shoes that people wear are very uncomfortable, and it makes people want to sit more because, hell, my feet hurt. I want to sit. They go to work, and the first thing they want is sit down because their feet are killing them.
Your dogs are
I don't get that.
That's it. So let me ask you, Elizabeth, how is what's the word? It starts with the H. The hygiene of the shoe. How does that work? I mean, because I don't own a pair, but I imagine.
Oh, well, Ryan, I mean, I don't usually get stinky feet. My boys do. And I had worn them several times and took them off. I was like, oh no, that's me. So they do get stinky, but you can wash them, throw them but I don't dry them in the dryer. So they're easy maintenance, but they do get like guy stinky, no offense, but guy stinky feet. Like that stinky feet that makes your stomach flip.
Oh, you mean the bad stinky feet.
Yeah, I mean nasty stinky feet. But you can throw them in the wash.
I'm gonna spare you on that one, Elizabeth. I'm gonna spare you. My tendency is to go on the other side of the fence, but I'm messing with you. No, let me ask you. Do you put foot powder in them a lot? Then is that a way to manage that odor if you don't wash them every single day?
Well, and I don't wash mine every single day. It takes several wearings for them to get stinky. But
your feet don't smell like my feet.
It's sweet roses. But I think, it probably depends too on your chemistry, because everybody smells differently. But after a few times, and I will put a little powder in there to kind of give me another day. But it's about a handful of wearings and then I'll wash it just because, too, I'm afraid because I have such a keen sense of smell. I don't want anybody else smelling them. And then thinking that's me. So I'd rather err on the more conservative side, if you will, and wash them a little more often than not. But the powder does help.
Gotcha. And I've always wondered, I mean, like, I haven't worn them, but I'm always a little leery of the notion of the toe spread that you would have to experience by slipping your fingers in there. I'm exaggerating to illustrate my point, but I was wondering if you had a sock. I was like, why don't they just create like a super thin sock? But that might be even more too much of a spread. That's, you know, your toes are spread out maybe unnaturally, whereas they might be closer together in a natural stride. So.
Well, I was doing I was teaching a TRX training, and there was a girl in my class that did have socks with hers. Now, I don't wear socks, and I have no desire to wear socks. But if you think about it, and they talk about this in yoga, and I was reading an article on research on barefoot training or minimalist training, our toes should have the same dexterity as our fingers. And if you're not working and separating and working all the muscles and ligaments into your feet, it's like keeping a cast on your foot. So the Vibrams really help. The more you do it, the more you'll be able to manipulate or articulate your toes. It's pretty fascinating, and I'm sure Ryan knows that from doing the barefoot stuff. It's that you have more control over your toes.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
In fact, they used to be so close together, and I would swear that the forefoot and the toes are starting to spread apart on their own. It's only been a couple years, and I have no doubt that within a few years from now, my feet will be better than they ever have been. So it's kind of like a slow grade up.
Well, you think about, I remember reading this article of someone who had lost the use of his hands, and he was able to learn and train. I mean, that's training, right?
Yeah.
If he was using his feet like fingers. Can you imagine the type of training that he had to go through to start learning or teaching his toes to work like fingers? But they're there for that. We just don't do it anymore.
Right.
I'm going to start doing that from now on.
You should.
There you go. Start picking up one of the rehab. You pick up marbles with your toes and drop them in a bucket.
I can do that.
One way you pinch your wife or your girlfriend with your toes.
I do that all the time. It's funny you say that. She's going to be like, darn that, Elizabeth. Question, should kids wear them? Ryan, thoughts?
Should kids wear Vibrams?
Yeah.
If their parents can afford them, yes.
That's key.
Yeah,
or
because
grandparents.
my
I would
boys
even say,
wear
why
out
not
their
let them be
shoes.
barefoot? You know, if the area that they're around can allow them to be barefoot, I would say that's even better.
Gotcha.
To be honest, I grew up barefoot. You
Yeah.
know, I was barefoot a lot. You know, yeah, I stepped on glass and did stuff like that, but I'm still living today. You know, I still got a smile.
Your feet are tougher or something when you're young, but my boys love to be barefoot. And I did, my parents bought them some Vibrams to wear to help train their feet, because I was starting to notice their platforms were shifting and they were starting to have some leg, hip, back stuff going on. So my parents bought them some Vibrams.
Certainly better than the Skechers shape-up shoes.
Oh, exactly.
Goodness gracious.
Oh, yeah. Let's
not go there.
That's a whole nother conversation, right?
Then not a topic, not on this show. Sorry. I'm just kidding. I wanted to ask, what do you guys think about like distance running? I mean, I have some thoughts, but I want to hear what you guys think. Ryan, what do you think about if somebody wants to run a marathon? Can people do it in Vibrams? Is there some kind of conditioning that they would need to have in their feet before actually attempting something like that?
Oh yeah. You got to be able to walk before you run. And I want to say to people, do not attempt long distances until your feet are ready for it. Just like someone in the gym that can bench press 400 pounds, it took him years to get to that point. It takes you years to develop the strength in your feet to be able to run that kind of distance, barefoot or wearing Vibrams. So just go slow.
Gotcha. And I guess I'll ask this to you, Elizabeth. Do you think that is maybe how do you say, a good measure to determine whether or not you're ready for such a distance? If your feet, the first joint, your subtalar joint, and then your ankle are the first joints to come in contact with the ground. Whoops, that was my phone. If those joints were, not equipped to be able to manage let's say even a 10K, is maybe that a sign to say, hey, maybe my knees and my hips and my back are going to be, at a disadvantage if I chose to run such a distance?
Well, it's like anything else. You don't go out and we as humans aren't the smartest sometimes, and go buy a pair and then start full out running in them, which a lot of people do.
Yeah.
you know? And it's something that you train into and work towards. And then for me, my personal opinion is the surface still has to be conducive. Like I could never go barefoot like Ryan. I beat all the natural padding off the bottom of my feet. And I was a little apprehensive about getting Vibrams because they're so thin on the bottom, but the Merrells didn't fit my feet well. So if grass or, you know, a more forgiving surface, if you will, as you work into miles or more duration, barefoot or with the Vibrams is ideal because you will end up screwing yourself big time. I've had some clients that went out and bought them and then they go full throttle, just like they've always done, except now their platform's not lifted anymore because they don't have their shoes on. Now it's flat and everybody's like, what the heck, you know? So I think it's something you really got to train into and train towards. And again, I think surface is not great for everybody. If, you know, Ryan has some great feet. I could never go run barefoot on concrete or asphalt or anything, even a rubberized track, because my feet are so tender and it's like skin on bone. Yeah, so, you know, I think it's really individual.
Yeah, I actually would agree with that. Ryan, I imagine you concur with that notion of conditioning yourself before being a maniac and throwing yourself.
It took me a long time. In fact, just walking across the street in Vegas to get the mail when I was barefoot would hurt. But then I would just go a little bit further and a little bit further. And just like anything else, you know, you develop the ability to do that. I desensitize, I guess.
No, yeah, for sure.
Flintstone feet. It's the Flintstone feet.
I'm barefoot now.
Let's see your feet.
Yeah, I was gonna. Well, let's just show them, see what they look like. Oh, see, if that's not reason, there we go. He's not messing around.
But they look healthy.
They did look healthy.
Here's my other foot.
Maybe in need of a pumice stone, but healthy. You know?
I'm a little petty.
You know what? There was a gentleman who, Adam, I forget his name. Oh, gosh, I was going to have him on. He was a little psycho. He has a Vibram tattooed on the bottom of his foot. And I was like, dude, I'm having you on just for the tattoo, but... we couldn't get him on in time. Gang, I wanted to thank you for coming on. I think you guys have some really cool information in regards to Vibrams, however you say it, barefoot training as well. I'm gonna give it a go, and then we'll bring you guys back like in a year. I'm good at remembering people. I'll bring you back like in a year, and then I'll tell you my stories about doing it, and we can follow up with you and see where you guys are at. How long have you been doing it, real quick, Elizabeth?
You know, I just bought my Vibrams, it was probably July, but after my foot surgery, I started doing yoga, and that was in a nice, safe environment on a mat, getting barefoot and working into my feet that are stronger. So now I wear my Vibrams and I go out on regular surfaces, and I even do plyometrics in them, which is pretty cool because it makes you fire your glutes and those lower extremities as you should. It's pretty neat. You really can fire your butt so much more.
Well,
and that's very important.
Reason alone. I'm going to give them to my girlfriend now.
See?
I'm getting in trouble for this as we speak.
That'll redeem the pinch toe thing.
Yeah, thank you. She's going to appreciate that. July 2011, you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Ryan, how long have you been barefoot Vibram action going on?
Probably about 2 years.
2 years, okay. So we'll check with you guys, maybe less than a year. But thank you for coming on. If people want to get in touch with you, Elizabeth, they want to ask you more questions, I know you're a big TRX gal. Where's the best place to get a hold of you?
You can go to my Push Training page on Facebook and like it and send me a message there, or eandrews.pushtraining@gmail.com.
Super cool. And Mr. Ryan?
You can just find me on Facebook under Ryan Crandall, or FYIforall.com is my website.
All right, super cool, gang. Thanks again for coming on, and
thank
everybody
you,
watching. Thank you for watching.
Thanks, Daniel. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Show me a good time. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Show me a good time. Oh yeah.